like-minded people. It's always good to be with those who believe the same as you. And so as far as that they believe in God and they believe in Jesus. And so it's good to fellowship together. And then we create joy, and we give that joy in so many different forms. And singing, of course, is one of them. And God wants you to sing like nobody's watching. That kind of like where you get the hairbrush out. Anybody ever do that? Get the hairbrush out and sing in your bedroom? Or what about in the shower? You sing, you break into song. Or what about it? Just most recently, and I know some of you others were there too. We were at the Newsboys concert over at the Altoona Curve. And the very last song of the night was "God's Not Dead." And Luke knew that one. I knew it well. Him and I just stood there and we belted it out, even though there were people all around us. But we were singing.
See the whole band, that's it. And the Newsboys.
That's right. That's right. Exactly. And we sang very, very loud, and that is what God wants us to do. He wants us to make that joyful noise to Him, to shout out our praises. And praises come in many forms, but song is one of the biggest ones. Singing actually makes our stress level go down. When we sing, our stress level goes down, and we put up all type of endorphins and things that make us happy. And so it's always a good thing to sing. And so we were so blessed today to have all this singing. And that is something that we need to always remember. Don't be afraid. Don't be timid. Don't be shy. Make your voice known to God and give Him those praises in the form of singing. And then it goes on to say that know that the Lord is God. It is He who made us. We are His. And we are His people, the sheep of His pasture. And we need to worship Him with gladness. That's the second verse, and that's the one we wrote. Think about it a second. Worship Him with gladness. All right, what's the opposite of gladness? Sadness. Yes. Okay, so would God want us to worship Him all moving?
No.
Happiness.
He wants us to worship Him with gladness.
With gladness. Absolutely. And so have you ever, we are good servants. I would consider you all good servants. When you brought this, no matter where you sing, it does not have to be in a church. It could be anywhere that you go out as a group to sing. You are being a servant of God at that point. You are making other people happy. There's many, many ways to be a servant. And so that's one of them. Just saying hello and giving somebody a big smile. Holding the door for somebody. That's being a servant of God. You are showing God is coming out through you. And so He wants us to worship Him with gladness. I have seen people volunteer at different activities, and they sit there and they look like that they just lost their last friend. That I'm so bored, I can't believe I have to be here. And that is not the way. That's not the way that we need to worship with gladness and to serve with gladness. Because if we aren't serving with gladness, then we're serving with sadness, and that's not good. That is not what God wants of us. Okay, He wants us to be happy servants. And then we need to enter His gates with thanksgiving and His courts with praise. Give thanks to Him and praise His name. And there again, entering His gates with thanksgiving. We need to always thank. Every prayer I starts with thanksgiving. When you start to pray, and you pray to God, you can pray to Him anytime. That's the wonderful thing about this. Morning, noon, night. Oh, hi! There's one of our kids made it. They were trying very hard to make it here on their trip away. So come on in and sit down. Anyways, He wants us to come to Him not selfishly. So when we come to God in prayer, our first things on our mouths should not be, what can you do for me? Our first prayer should not be, of course, God wants us. He wants us to ask Him for anything. Oh my goodness, He wants us to ask Him for anything and everything that we need. He's open. He's open 24 hours a day. God never sleeps, never. And so He is here for you if you wake up in the middle of the night or any time. But He wants you to come to Him with thanksgiving. Always come to Him with thanksgiving, and thank Him for everything. Even in rough times, bad times, we still need to be thankful. And so we need to always enter His gates with thanksgiving. And then His faithfulness continues through all generations. I want you to consider this. I'll just use my brother Steve. I'll pick on him. Okay? And we're gonna say his grandfather, okay, which is also my grandfather. And then his son, his grandfather's son, which would be our dad. And then to him, and then to his children. And then his children had children, so his grandchildren. And then someday those grandchildren are going to have children. Well, that's what it means by faithfulness for all the generations. Do you know that from the time of in the early 1900s of our grandfather to now and in the future? So God has never changed. Never. Not once. Okay? He's always faithful and he's always the same. He remains the same. So he is a constant. So it doesn't matter what generation we're in or what generation we will be in, God will always be the same. And he will always be a constant presence in our lives, and he will always be there for us. Like I said, morning, noon and night, open 24 hours. He is always ready for us to come to him in prayer and to be with him. And he will, and just like we were talking about sad times today, so in sad, he's there, in happy, and in uncomfortable situations, in you're very unsure about. No matter what, God can answer things for you. So only God remains forever. Would you join me in prayer?